welcome to this episode of Beautiful Planet, Ananya. Thank you for joining us. And
Thank
for
you for
those who
having
have
me.
tuned in, a pleasure. I must thank Shobna and Ahilya for having introduced you. And for those listening in, Beautiful Planet is an endeavor by Rare India, a conscious luxury travel marketing company that believes that children are the future and children are the hope, and through their stories are an inspiration for us as adults and for other children to find a way out of the mess of the environment that we find ourselves in, and how when the lockdown lifts, some of the stories that we learn from these children will inspire us to focus on what the earth has given us and try and preserve and protect. And once again, welcome on the show. Let's begin with knowing something about you. Where are you talking from? School, class? I mean, let's get that out of the way first.
Yeah, so I'm 13 years old and I live in Mumbai. Is that?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Class and school and
Yes, I'm in eighth grade, and yeah, that's about it.
yeah, that's about it. Okay, that's fine. Do you see any of your friends there? I saw
Yes,
Anaga signing in.
I do.
Yeah, so some of your friends are there. Fantastic. So let's begin. Let's dive right in, Ananya. So let's think about the first time when you became aware of the nature around you. You live in an urban landscape, right? So not very easy to be in touch with nature
Yes,
all the time. Yet you have an ocean in front of you that beautiful sunrises and sunset also always remind you of that you're as close to nature as you possibly can. But in your memory, when was the first time you looked around and said, wow, I mean, and this none of this is man-made?
actually, ever since I was a kid, I've always been exposed to nature because my parents don't really limit me from anything. So, when I was around two or three, I'd started climbing trees,
Yeah,
and I played with bugs and mud, and yeah, it was really, it's just amazing because I've always known nature was beautiful, and it's just something, it's just natural. It's like something everyone should
absolutely.
know.
Everyone should know, and that's your natural way of being, and you were allowed to be as natural as possible. So did you you're from the Northeast, right? From
My dad is from Delhi, my mom is
okay,
from Manipur,
Manipur.
and
Fantastic.
I was born in Delhi too.
You were born in Delhi too, but you I know Shobana told me that there were your trips to Manipur actually were some of your fondest memories of being amongst nature. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, because the air over there is like amazingly clean. So
Yeah.
it's completely different here and there because over here we
Mm.
have like a few plants in the balcony, and that's like our little balcony garden. But when you go over there,
Yeah.
you're surrounded by trees because like my grandparents stay on a mountain. So like we can get up because of the rooster. Like the rooster actually crows at the same time every day.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
and at night you can actually see the stars, which is really, really nice.
Fantastic. Yes. So I didn't get that. Your grandfather's your grandparents stay where?
They stay in Manipur. They stay in, it's a
Yeah, but
state in
they
India.
stay. No, no, I
Yeah,
know
so
that. I meant they stay in a farm, or is that what you said?
they stay on a mountain.
They must stay on a mountain. Okay,
Yeah,
fantastic. So,
yeah, and they have a vegetable farm as well. But
okay.
actually, the plants over there and over here are really, really different. Like over there, they were really, really big. The mustard plant that they had was so big. Like my sister and I could hide in them, and
Oh, wow.
that's not an easy feat. And we
Yes.
just harvested a few of them, and then we ate them every single day because they were so big.
Yeah. The mustard plant, you meant.
Yes. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. So let's look at the school. I mean, how does your school, I mean, your parents, you've already said that they've always tried to leave you and your sister, I presume, right? Leave you with nature. I mean, allowed you to get your hands and get your hands dirty, allowed you to climb trees. What about school? I mean, how was it? How did the school influence you, or how did the school encourage you to continue with your love for nature? I mean,
Yeah, our school is really, really great because we have gardening class and we get to like
yeah,
experience different things like how to plant it, and we learn all sorts of new things like biodynamic farming, which is a
okay.
non-chemical way of planting fruits and vegetables. So yeah, it's
Mm.
our school is like really really good as well. Like it's really
Really
natural
special.
because
Yeah, really special.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know when Ahilya was there on on the first
yeah.
episode, she had talked about it. So, what is biodynamic farming? I mean, how have you understood what biodynamic farming was?
So it's basically a non-chemicalized way of producing veg and fruits. So there's this CPP. So it's like you take cow dung and you put it in its horn and you
Yeah,
leave it to rest under the soil for about 6 months, and then you take it out, and that is and the what was cow dung before is extremely rich in nutrients, and it's
rich in
extremely good
nutrients.
for your plants. And it's really, it smells amazing because like you would think it's not that cow dung smell,
You smell?
but
Yeah.
it's the
Mm-hmm.
it smells like the forest is freshly rained, like it just rained in the
Yeah,
forest.
fantastic.
And you just
Is
need a
it
little bit of
really?
that. You just use a little bit of
Yeah,
that and you just like mix it with water, and you give it to the plants and they become really really happy.
fantastic. And so, is this so on a day-to-day basis? Who inspires you in school to take up activities where environment is concerned? I mean, apart from gardening, for instance, there are issues, right? You're aware of the issues that we have uh, where the environment is concerned about climate change. Are you aware of the issues and the,
Yeah, of course. Like
yeah, yeah,
everybody
yeah.
knows the
Yes,
problems because we've polluted the earth so much. It's going to become difficult to live in eventually.
yeah. And what is that one? I mean, there's plastic, there's, water contamination, there's several things. So what is that one thing that you would, that one area that you would like to focus on? And I mean, at least for today, what is it, that one area that we should be talking about, right? Which is close to your heart and where you put in a lot of your time and your research.
Well, I haven't done too much research about it, but I've read in many books. So actually, there's a lot of things we can do to help nature come back, because like it's depleted so much and it's it's just
Deteriorating.
yeah,
Yeah,
deteriorate.
yeah.
Yeah, so so it's like if you take water for example, like
Hmm.
70% of our world is water, and it's getting contaminated and dirtier every single day. And the problem
Yeah.
is, it's like out of that 70%, only 2.5% of it is actually fresh. And then out of that, only
Absolutely.
1% is actually easily accessible. And like according
Mm-hmm.
to recent studies, if we continue going like this way, because we're wasting a lot of water, and
Yeah, absolutely.
because when we use soap, it's like it contaminates the water as well, because it's
Yeah.
chemical, it's not meant to be with the water. So by the time it's 2040, if we keep on going on like this, we'll have 0% fresh water.
Fresh water. Yeah, yeah. So we talked about the a talk that you were supposed to do. especially of how we are messing up with the topsoil, right? Or what we should be doing about the topsoil. First of all, let's talk about what, in your definition, is the topsoil and how it is very, very important for us as human beings and for our life on Earth, right? So go ahead.
So the topsoil is basically the uppermost layer of the earth. So the place where we plant our crops and where we walk on. But because of chemical fertilizers and all kinds of pesticides that we've been using, it's really getting bad. It's deteriorating, and it's literally dying because all the nutrients that are in there, or that used to be in there, they've gone. Because um, that's like biodynamic farming is like another way to, instead of using pesticides, chemical fertilizers. So yeah, and there's a fungi that grows under the earth. It's
Yeah.
called
So
mycorrhizae.
just before we go to that, I liked what you said earlier about how using chemicals and fertilizers, how does it impact the topsoil? I mean, uh, by making the soil, instead of rejuvenating itself and reaching out to its own natural
Yeah.
resources. Yeah. So I say that again.
So
I think that's a very good point. Mm.
when we put chemical fertilizers into the soil for a plant to become better, we're actually depriving it from its real nutrients that are in the soil. And it's like we're force feeding it something that it doesn't want, but it needs to take because it has no other choice. So and
Absolutely.
because of that, when you stop giving it the fertilizer, it dies. It's really, really like, it's really
Because
sad thing to see.
absolutely, because it has lost its ability to derive its own nourishment from the earth, right?
Yeah, it's like teaching a person to drink from a bottle their entire life and not telling them like, your teeth, by the way, they're for chewing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so let's talk about the mycorrhiza, no,
Mycorrhizae.
mycorrhiza. Yeah. Let's talk about mycorrhiza, the fungi. Yeah, yeah,
So it's like it stretches out like a thread, like a web. Like you have a spider web. So it kind
yeah.
of like stretches out like that, like threads all around the ground, and it connects. It's amazing. It connects one plant from another to another. And let's say one plant is like it doesn't have enough nutrients because like let's say that soil has been there's something wrong with it, then it can send a message to the other plant with the help of the mycorrhizae, and then that
Mycorrhiza.
plant
Yeah,
will send nutrients back to the plant that needs it. And that way
to
it's like
the
an underground internet.
internet networking. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, fantastic. And how does this fungi grow? How does the mycorrhizae grow?
Actually, if we don't put any pesticides, it just grows like
On its own?
naturally on its
Yeah,
own.
yeah, yeah. It's like, I think, our gut bacteria. So you take medicines, you kind of kill it. So so you think it is you think that the most natural way for the plants to be is in their natural environment, which will allow this fungi to create networks, right? So how did you I mean, how did you get into this? How did you learn about these things, and how did you get to research more about it enough to do a talk about it? I mean, that's fascinating.
Well, I read a lot of books. So I came across my mom's book once, and it had
Mm,
this chapter on mycorrhizae, and like
mm,
it had all sorts of stuff, biodynamic farming. And I just came across it, and I just found it really, really interesting. So I searched up
interesting,
on
yeah,
Google, and then I found out about it, and it's just really, really cool.
yeah. And so we talked about this a little while ago. So, one of the first things is, of course, it's not that we are doing this in our houses. It's also, it's the farmers who've been encouraged to use fertilizers, not knowing that they're actually causing more harm than good. So how do you think this awareness should go about, Ananya? I mean, how do we create awareness for this?
Yeah, well, firstly, when you buy pesticides and fertilizers, you actually spend a lot of money in doing so. So
Mm-hmm.
like if you actually just make compost instead, you kind of get it for free and you don't have to put that much effort into it. It does it by itself. So it's like
Itself.
it's really simple. You just collect the leaves that fall around. And I've seen a lot of people collect the leaves, and since they don't know where to put it, they kind of like burn it, and it goes
Burn
completely
it.
to waste. But if you like, you can just make a pit, or you can even like make it in a bowl or anything, and then you just collect it and you put all your waste, you just put it in together, and then after some time you get this rich soil that's full of nutrients,
Soil.
and it just makes your
Yeah,
plants
full of
extremely
nutrients.
happy.
Yeah, fantastic. Happy plants, happy soil,
Yeah.
happy people. Yeah, so I know that you have a lot of other interests as well. So let's talk about uh, the two interests that I came to know about. So you play the piano, right?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
and when
behind me.
okay, and when did you start? When did you start learning? And
um that's a good question because I've had like a keyboard since I was a kid,
yeah,
and my mom's tried to get someone to teach it to me, but I never learned it at first. But then after like we shifted and I started getting really interested. So my mom
yeah,
got another teacher again, and then I'm still learning. I'm still supposed to be in grade one, but I started learning by myself and I started playing all sorts of things. So it's if you kind of like all the time that I've actually focused on it, it's been about a year now.
yeah.
And yeah, I play all sorts of things now.
Okay, fantastic. And your interest in ballet?
Yes. When I was younger, I lived in Chennai, and I wanted to learn ballet at that time, but there were no like places to learn anywhere close by that wasn't like, I don't know, some 10 kilometers away. So we
Yeah,
kind of like didn't go. But then after coming to Mumbai, like since I still really wanted to learn it, my mom put me in a class,
yeah.
and yeah, I'm still going now.
Yeah, fantastic. So let's look at your day-to-day life, and how do you think you are impacting? See, you can there are different ways that you can impact the environment, right? Positively. One is, of course, to do things like gardening and things like that. The other thing is, of course, by creating awareness. So in your peer group, among friends and things like that, I know because you go to school, and the kind of school you go to, it must be automatically all your friends and your peer group must be it must be similar people who like similar things, and that's also because your school encourages you to do this. But among other people, among friends who are not from your school or from where you live, I mean from from around your residence, do you find a lot of awareness about the environment, and is there something that you all talk about? Do you are you vocal about your irritation with issues that you just talked about?
Well, I have some friends outside school that share my interests. I mean, actually, the problem with um, all these problems with nature and everything, environmental issues, actually everybody is aware of it. So everybody
Yeah,
knows about it. But it's not always that you get to discuss it with other people because
yeah,
um, they just don't want to discuss it.
yeah. But if you don't discuss it, how will you young people come up with
Yeah,
solutions?
I
I
do
mean,
discuss it. I have
yeah, no, I know
I have
you
some
discuss it. I
friends.
mean, yeah,
Yeah, so I have some friends which I discuss it with, and you know about Ahilia?
yeah, I do
Yeah,
know
so
Ahilia.
Ahilia,
Yeah,
yeah, so like there are many groups actually. It's really nice to see so many people coming together to like do things like beach cleanup and
yeah,
the protest for the RA forest. Yeah.
yeah. I heard that. Yeah, that RFR, the protest that you did for RFRs. Yes, fantastic. What was your slogan on that one? Do you remember the slogan that you wrote for the RFRs?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. So, yeah, do you all? So you all do talk about these issues, and so do you encourage your friends to say don't use that plastic, or carry your own
Yes,
bottle? Yeah. On
definitely.
a day-to-day basis, what is it that you do that you know? I mean, that you're constantly aware of and you feel everybody should follow that?
There are actually like so many things we can do to help the planet. Like instead of soap, we use soap nut, which is
Okay.
it works like soap. You just have to soak it in water and you get an amazing lather, which is really
Yeah, yeah.
surprising. I was very surprised when I used it first. And
Mm,
there's bioenzyme,
yeah.
which we use to clean the floor. And the amazing
Yeah.
thing about this is once it's done, you can actually use this water to water the plants.
To water the plants. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Mm.
And yeah, and I have really less possessions. Like I have really less clothes. So
Oh,
it all
that's,
fits in one.
you
I
make me
actually
feel
fit
so
all my things.
guilty. Yeah.
I actually
You're
fit all my
amazing.
things
Yeah.
in one suitcase. It's a small
Yeah.
one, a small suitcase. So I have really less things, and that like it kind of helps because if you have lots of
Absolutely.
clothes, then that's a lot more things to biodegrade.
Absolutely. And to wash and to use
Yes, and
water.
wash.
Yeah. Fantastic. I mean, you've now really made me feel guilty. Now that is something I'm going to concentrate on. So, your who are you inspired by? I mean, especially where environment or you know, even this in your research is about topsoil. Is there somebody that who inspired you, whose writings you really liked?
Honestly, I've just really been inspired by nature itself because there are so many amazing things we don't even know about our own planet, and we're using the things, the amount of money that's being spent into doing all kinds of crazy stuff could be used to like actually
Just
save the
preserve.
planet we're living on. Yes.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Just yeah.
and we can
Yeah.
do that. Like we can actually do that instead of there are a lot of things we could be doing, like out of playing a video game and spending half an hour into planting a sapling. It's kind of like a lot of people will choose video game because it's easy, it's fun, and it's
Yeah.
entertaining. But like,
Absolutely.
if we just spend that little time into like planting the pot, we can actually make a difference. Even if it's
Absolutely.
just one plant, it just makes a difference.
It makes a lot of difference. Yeah. There's a question for you from, I think it's from Anaga, who's asking, who are your role models?
I don't have a role model.
You said, I mean,
No.
well, nature is one of your
Yeah.
models, your perfect model, I guess. Yeah. Um, let's see, there's Mona, a friend of ours, who says, Ananya, you're so impressive. Hope more kids can take your lead. We have somebody who's
Thank
saying,
you.
what age is she? She's 13 years old. Such wonderful. Tanaz, I think she's your teacher, right? Tanaz ma'am is your teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's saying
She
such
was our
wonderful
teacher.
answers, Ananya. Yeah, okay. So Husna is saying nature, um, love that line. And who else is saying? So well put, very good use of word, Anaga says. They're all following you. So let's see what is messages from you to people who are listening in. So there are two kinds of people listening in. There are a lot of children and there's a lot of adults like me, right? So first, a message for all the adults who are listening in.
This planet is not just ours. It belongs to so many
Mm-hmm.
other creatures that roam on this place. And the fact that we are doing what we want with it is kind of sad because they don't get places to live. Like if you look at the albino white rhino, have you heard of it? So
I've heard,
around
yes.
1960, there were more than 2,000 of them. And because of what we've been doing, because of deforestation, and because of poaching,
Poaching,
definitely poaching,
poaching, yeah.
there
Mm-hmm.
are only three of them left in the whole
Left,
world.
yeah,
Just three of them. Like the same thing's
yeah,
happening with trees. Like trees
yeah.
are getting cut down at such a fast rate. It's like there's the equivalent of a football field of forest being lost every single second,
Second. Oh, that's
which is
alarming, isn't it?
absolutely,
It's alarming. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's your message for the adults. The
I
planet is
think
not
so.
yours alone, not ours alone, and for your friends listening in, Ananya.
There are lots of things we can do, like just small,
Yeah,
tiny little things that we can do that make such a big difference, even if they're really subtle. Like we can reuse our clothes. Like we can use them and
I
use them,
like that
like
idea.
turn them
I
into
hope everybody is
bags.
listening in. Yes, absolutely.
And instead
Yes.
of buying more, like I just wear like we have this kind, it's kind of like a joke, but I wear the same shirt every time we have a function. So I wear the exact same shirt to my school, and it's just a huge joke with all of us. So and
Fantastic.
it's like there's so many things we don't realize, but they make such a big difference. Like a ketchup sachet. Have you like those tiny sachets full of
I know.
ketchup?
I hate them.
Yeah,
I
so it's
just
like whenever I go and like let's say I buy a burger, I never use the ketchup sachet because it's really less, but they get so many customers in a day. It's like
yeah.
if someone goes to a store and that person gets two ketchup sachets and there are 500 people going into that store and over 60 million people in that same store all
Wow.
around the world, that's a lot of ketchup sachets.
Lot of ketchup sachets. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that.
And
Fantastic. So,
that's because if we multiply that, then that's two.
yeah,
Even if we just use
absolutely.
just two ketchup sachets multiplied
Yeah.
by 60 million, that's 120 million sachets.
Wow,
And that's a lot of
absolutely.
plastic.
That's a lot of plastic. Yeah. So, yeah, we have Oliver Sinclair, again, a very good friend of ours. He says that we should all lobby to reform the packaging industry, and that's a great point. Yeah, that is really a great point.
So
Um, Sorry, go ahead,
yeah,
Ananya.
a thing we could do, it's like either we use bottled ketchup or we just
Yeah.
make our own ketchup or we don't use ketchup.
You don't use ketchup. That's it. I mean, very simple. Yeah, fantastic. Ananya, that was really inspiring to chat with you. And thank you for joining us. I can't imagine that at 13 you're so aware. I can tell you, I can speak for myself. My awareness set in only when my children started going to school. I was completely unaware, though, we lived in smaller towns. And I am, do you believe that we can all make a change? I mean, do you really,
Of course. Like it's
yes, so we do.
possible.
It is possible, right? It is possible. And like you said, it doesn't belong to us alone. And the older generation has to leave back a beautiful planet for you and the generations coming ahead of you. And of course, that will only happen, like you said, if we make the perfect choices. So tell me that again. If you don't use that ketchup, we can use a
Yeah.
ketchup in the bottle, or
There are so many other things like if you see a bug like on the ground, a lot of people will reach for a bug spray,
oh,
but
yeah, I
that
hate that.
chemical is really bad. It has
Yeah.
CFCs, which are chlorofluorocarbons. They kind of break down the ozone layer, which is eventually going to kill us if that keeps on happening.
Yeah,
And that chemical that is killing the bug, if it's killing the bug,
it's going to kill
how
you.
can it be good for us?
I know.
It's like you're literally covering that place full of chemicals that are harmful to you and harmful to everybody around you, and they can like they're really bad for you basically.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. So before you reach out to kill that bug, which also has its own place on the planet, we better watch out and think twice. Thank you, Ananya. That was really fantastic talking to you. I look forward to being in touch. And for all of you listening in, some more inspirations for you. What I liked about Ananya is what she said about the happy soil, right? The happy soil would mean happy plants, and happy plants would mean happy people. So, on that note, thank you for joining in and have a great weekend. Thank you,
Thank
Ananya.
you.